Hello, thank you for watching. I wanted to explain a little bit what happened actually with back in 2000, about 2010, because it's relevant of what's happening with Martin and the revelations of the homosexuality with the Reverend Jesse Peterson, so-called Reverend. Otherwise, I wouldn't even post this because I had already done a bunch of videos years prior, and I'm for sure I overdid it. But it was all meant at that time. I didn't know about the homosexuality, but I worked for Jesse for a little over a year as a sound editor, and I was really being blessed by God through the meditation, silent prayer, antidoteforall.com. If you guys haven't been on there, it's helps you to get centered and separate from all the craziness in our head, because the devil uses our own thoughts, our own talking to ourselves, So you really want to separate and be like a child again. And so what happened is I saw that he really wasn't free of sin. He had anger still. He because he would say things, that are just off and about, especially about most blacks. Some of it, he mixed with truths too. So at any rate, I was talking to people, being honest, that he's really not free of sin. And he was he had kind of a bully. He's a bit of a bully, and even at work. Like one time he told me, literally, he said, Fabian, the only rights you have here as an employee is to do a good job and show up on time. And I told him, no, I also have the right to stand up for myself, be honest. And if you don't like it, you have a right to fire me. And of course, he never did fire me because he knew in his heart that I was right. But it would have made him also look bad to fire me because I was doing my job. And I actually helped produce and create with Ermias what Patrick said was like the best commercial that Bond ever had, because I was very, I had a good creativity about me. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that when I left, then I still wanted to help improve them, and I saw that Jesse's personality needed to, take a step up. It wasn't all the other people's fault, and that's what he always would do, is to point the wrongs and how other people were slowing him down or harming Bond or hurting his progression. But it really was him, because he thought he was at this place where he's not, and so like he's stuck even to this day. He's stuck with this loop of repetition, and he's dull and boring, and he's not anything dynamic like a really saved person is, like Roy Masters was before he passed away, and there's a lot of people that we don't know about, but Reagan was a good example. So anyway, so what happened was I was writing to Patrick at the time, like totally polite. I'm always like polite on my emails. I'm honest, but straightforward, but like philosophical disagreements or disagreements as I was hearing them on a show. So I would write him some emails, and it wasn't like a massive flood of emails. It was just periodically, sometimes daily, because I'd listen to some of the show, and then so I'd point out where he's stating inaccurate things, like most black people live off the government, for example. And I put, I'd even sometimes provide links for the falsehoods, and some of it was just spiritual. So I was starting, I didn't realize at the time, that the gay relationship was going on. And but that's why Jesse, largely, well, and also he wanted to keep anyone from believing what I was saying, because he had a good thing going, having people believe that he's really all that, and like so holy, which he never was. So he tried, what he did was he told me, don't write anybody a bond again ever. So I didn't listen, because they were my friends, actually. So they happen to have a bond email. So for that, he saved the emails and he filed a restraining order. You don't file a restraining order on polite emails, even if you don't like them. And the judge even said that. Why didn't you just delete the emails? That's all he had to do. See, the thing is, like with Martin's exposés now, and going in front of Bond and speaking peaceably, doing his First Amendment rights, That's what Jesse does. Is now he called the cops on Martin. And they filed a temporary restraining order on him because they hate the truth so bad that they have to try to use the law in an illegal way, illegal fashion. Totally not what the restraining order is all about at all. It's about violence and trying to stop violence from possibly happening. Both me back then and Martin now, everyone knows what we were protesting about, that we're not violent, that it has nothing to do with that. It's all about intimidation, misusing the law. And Jesse has a history of misusing the courts. He did it with Jesse Jackson Jr., who shoved him, big deal. So they filed a lawsuit and they lost with a conservative organization that he fooled to go along with it. He filed a, a crappy lawsuit against Equinox Gym, which is, I think, still going in action now, trying to extract a bunch of money from them for a stupid reason. He and then he there's others too, I'm sure. And then with me, he totally lied. When he did drag me into court, he said that he fired me and he saw me lying in wait, possibly, and all this. He never fired me. He made up a scenario to make me sound like a crazy person. The judge partly believed it and verbally warned, said, "Don't go around Bond, don't go around him," which I had not for like a long time anyway. Had no desire to. But I saw on a legal website that I actually won that case, but verbally, he told me don't do this, don't do that, but I didn't get any restraining order on that one. But he shouldn't have verbally told me to not do anything, anything. Like I wasn't doing anything wrong. A restraining order, is for very extreme situation. And another big thing, like Jesse just put in Martin's paperwork, for a temporary order, and what he testified to the judge, because the judge said in order to get a restraining order, you have to feel so stressed out of possibly being, attacked mainly, that you can barely function. And he asked Jesse that directly, and Jesse said yes. Another lie. Jesse did like 3 perjuries. It's a felony to perjure yourself in court, and they did that on Martin's temporary order. So, he'll do anything to keep his little false kingdom of being, this all that counselor, and he gets a lot of money from that too. And God bless people like that are legitimate, but he hasn't been legitimate because he's been this closeted homosexual, and people just needs to know the truth. That's really evil to do that. Really evil. And he already admitted to it privately to Patrick's family and all, his family directly, and they both apologized to each other, and that's great. I mean, that's great. But why is he not doing that to the public, who he collected a lot of money from with this lie? Why? Why? That's not right. So that's the motive for Martin's protest and mine. And so what ended up happening, real briefly, I don't want to go all into it. So I didn't listen to the judge, and I still, like, I contacted, I forgot it, or Mensa, who actually lived there, and I tried to, hey, Jesse's, I was honest with him. And Jesse found out that I called him, or it was a message, I think. And so and then I did a bunch of YouTubes exposing his perjury. So Jesse calls me back, and he calls the sheriff again. He calls me back in the court, and then the judge was a bit nutty and corrupt. There's a lot of corrupt judges in the system. Like, hello, duh, you know. So he actually, Jesse lied again, made up some crap. I think one of them again was like, or it was where he actually told the judge, "Hey, I want this man in jail. He shot a bunch of YouTubes, saying blah 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 blah." And judge says, "I'm not throwing anybody in jail." But the judge got mad at me because I had called or written Mensa when he told me I couldn't write any of my friends because they lived upon. That's not even legal. So anyway, then so he got that 6 month restraining order, which was like no contact, with anybody, no go around there. And then he told me verbally, the judge. Now listen to this. He told me verbally that you can post anything you want. That's your right, but you cannot use Jesse Peterson's name in the title or anything. So he's a public figure. He's a minister. He's lying from my view and a lot of people, but I can't use his name. So I just didn't say anything to him. I went out into the hallway. I got the paper order from the bailiff, and the paper order didn't say that. So the judge lied. He lied to me because he thought he tried to rob me of some of my rights, my First Amendment rights. And he knew that. That's why he tried to intimidate me verbally, which that is so evil. I was thinking of filing a restraining order on a judge, not a restraining order, but a complaint. But I was really, didn't want to. I didn't have all that time and everything. I'm a working guy and stuff. And so anyway, they got that, and so Jesse walked up to me when I was in the hallway getting the paper from the bailiff, and he looked at the bailiff. He said, "Now he cannot do any social media with my name, right?" And the bailiff looked at him and said, "He has to obey whatever the paper says." So I looked at Jesse and I just shook my head. I can't, I think I said, "I can't believe you," but I was like, "Oh my God!" And then he looked at me and he walked away. And then I read the paper and it said no such thing. Haha. So I did a bunch more videos and I exposed this whole story, this whole charade. And I know I helped some people and I woke them up, helped them to not doubt what they said, of what they see about Jesse, even though he says, puts a front of this, this free of sin minister, which is, a front, exactly what it is. Whether he fully realizes it or not, I don't really care. It is a front and it's a lie. So I will admit, though, and I saw Roy Masters about it, and we talked about it, and he even said right in front of us, Jesse is not a good man, because he knew I kept him appraised of what Jesse was doing to me or trying to do to me. But I had a little bit of anger inside. I don't know, it seemed like a little bit. It was because so I overdid it and I put too much energy in some of the videos, like outrage, like, and I actually was outraged in the court too when I heard Jesse lie. So I was helped with that with by Roy Masters on one of the, that I saw that I really wasn't, I thought I was at a place where I wasn't. And he said, "Oh, you say really good things and everything, but you have some hidden emotion underneath. You have some buried emotion that you're not aware of." He said it very gently and it changed everything for me. So that's why I just, after that, I'd stopped doing videos. I think I did one on Jesse in a different spirit, explaining this actually. So I'm only doing this because I want to explain, because Martin said, some things about the restraining order that was put on me, and he didn't understand everything that happened, and he thought they just kind of shut me up, but they didn't, because I knew my rights, and that's what evil does, evil who are really cowards inside, they have to shut you down. It's communist, it's leftist, and it's exactly the tactic that Jesse and Bond are doing now, even to this day. And they will likely repeat it in court, and we will have witnesses to expose it, that they will perjure themselves in court again as a federal crime. And because they have no case, Martin didn't do anything wrong. It's not harassment. Because legally, if you don't like the recipient of public people who are the recipients of exposés, because they don't like what's being exposed, does not make it harassment and does not take away our First Amendment rights of exposing it to the public. Period. End of story. All right. Well, thanks for listening. I'll be quiet now. God bless. Please go to antidoteforall.com. It's awesome.